The United Nations Development Programme UNDP, in collaboration with the government of the Gambia, through the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, today launched a biodiversity finance initiative to assess biodiversity spending, close financing gaps, and national biodiversity finance plan with support from the Global Environment Facility. The Inception Workshop introduced BIOFIN's methodology to government officials, development partners, the private sector, civil society, and academia, setting out a roadmap to strengthen national capacity to measure and mobilize resources for biodiversity conservation and sustainable ecosystem management. UNDP representative Ms. Madisa Moshologu said the launch marks a significant step towards protecting and restoring the Gambia's ecosystem, which underpin agriculture, tourism, water resources, and community livelihoods. She described BIOFIN as a nature-positive, evidence-based approach aligned with the 2030 Agenda, the Common Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and AU Agenda 2063, noting that more than 100 countries have engaged with the initiative.
BIOFIN is UNDP's flagship initiative, helping countries assess the true cost of biodiversity management, identify financing needs, and develop innovative financing solutions. With over 100 countries implementing BIOFIN, the Gambia joins a global effort to close the biodiversity finance gap through evidence-based reforms. In the Gambia, our partnership with the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources and the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs reflects a shared understanding that biodiversity loss is not only an environmental concern, but also an economic risk directly impacting food security, tourism earnings, water availability, and community resilience.
Financed with support from the Global Environment Facility, the project will map current biodiversity expenditures, identify priority investment gaps, and work to integrate biodiversity into national budgets and policy frameworks. Proposed financing mechanisms to be explored include conservation trust funds, tourism fees, payment for ecosystem services, nature-based investments, and public-private partnership. Other speakers at the event including Deifatu Job, Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Environment, Babukar Job, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, and Dauda Baji, Executive Director of the National Environment Agency, stressed the need for accurate data, whole-of-government coordination, and inclusive participation by rural communities, women, and youth in financing decisions.
With respect to what we are here. And this is very, very important in whatever we are doing in this country and the world at large. As we know, environment is a global village. Whatever we are doing affects. So whatever we are doing is something that you know in one way or irrespective of wherever you are living, you are going to be impacted. So therefore, it is key for us as a country towards addressing those aspects. So you also be aware that this is supported by a Global Environment Facility, the GEF in short. And as you know, GEF supports a lot of environmental issues from biodiversity to land degradation to climate change, and also as well chemicals and waste. And it also looking into how can we look into other sustainable funding to ensure that when GEF supports are not there, country can move forward.
Our mangroves shield our coast from rising sea levels. Our wetlands sustain fisheries that feed our people. Our forests nurture wildlife and provide livelihoods to the population. The River Gambia connects communities, cultures, and economics. Yet these resources face mounting pressures such as deforestation, climate change, unsustainable practices, and economic challenges that threaten the very fabric of our survival. It is this reality that inspired the Biodiversity Finance Initiative. We understand that protecting nature is not a burden, but it is the most strategic investment in our future. Finance is the bridging gap between vision and action, as without sustainable financing, conservation remains fragile, hence, thus biodiversity becomes the engine of development. This initiative, ladies and gentlemen, is in response to mobilizing resources in line with the Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework and the recommendations of COP 2025.
The Gambia is amongst the most vulnerable countries globally, with significant exposure to sea level rises and coastal erosion, particularly along low-lying coastal zone. And yet, within this vulnerability lies a quiet, remarkable wealth. Our mangroves stand as living shields against rising tides. Our wetlands filter the waters that sustain our farms. Our forests breathe life into the soils that feed our children. These are not simply landscapes. They are the inheritance we hold trust for generations yet to come. But this inheritance is also the foundation of our economy. Agriculture, fisheries, and tourism, sectors that together employ the majority of our people and intimately linked to the health of our biodiversity. When ecosystems degrade, the fiscal consequences are real. Reduced agricultural productivity, declining tourism revenues, and increased expenditure on disaster response and recovery. Every hectare of mangrove we lose is not only an ecological wound, it is a line item in our national budget that grows heavier with each passing year.
Organizers said the workshop will continue to serve as a platform for stakeholder engagement as BIOFIN develops a comprehensive biodiversity finance plan to scale up sustainable financing and safeguard the country's natural assets for current and future generations. For Telada TV News, this is Awasani.
You can now turn your loyalty points into data or voice bundles. Simply dial *772#, press 1 to check how many points you've got, press 2 to redeem those points. Recharge on AfriCell, buy credit on AfriMoney, buy cash power. Lord Efrek, you get points. Even when you redeem, your total points still stack up, giving you a chance to win one of 2 luxury AfriCell villas. AfriCell, 25 years of rewarding loyalty, and we're just getting started.